Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining. If you're new, my name is Rachel and this is my reaction to the Dutch education system explained. So without wasting much time, let's dive into it. But before we get into that, kindly subscribe to my channel, turn on post notification and give this video a thumbs up, okay? Yeah, let's go.
If you happen to have watched the college storytime video I made a couple months ago, you'll probably recall me briefly explaining the Dutch education system and how it differs from the American one. Okay. I got a couple comments saying people would be interested in seeing a video explaining this system more thoroughly, so without further ado, here's my take on explaining the Dutch education system. I'll go through the entire system step by step in chronological order, so from kindergarten to university. The very first or pre-phase of education over here is called peuterspeelzaal, which roughly translates to toddler playroom. I know, sounds a bit silly, and is pretty much the Dutch equivalent of nursery school. Children ages 0 to 3 can attend toddler playroom, however it isn't obligated to do so. And once a child turns 4, they'll have to enter the next stage of education. This being basisschool, roughly translated basic school, which I'd say is the Dutch equivalent of elementary school. Here children will learn basic skills such as calculating, writing, reading, grammar, crafts, along with a couple of other basic subjects. Basic school consists of a total of 8 grades. These grades over here are referred to as groups. For example, once you enter basic school, you'll be in group 1. The following year you'll enter group 2, and so on and so forth. One subject we're also taught, which I'm not sure Americans are, during group 6 and 7 is traffic, where you learn about the basic traffic rules. Wow. In the Netherlands, it's pretty common for kids to travel to school by bicycle, seeing how school buses aren't really a thing over here. That plus the villages often are only 15 to 30 minutes of cycling away due to the Netherlands' small size. So you can imagine what would happen if children...
Completely blown away. Seeing that children can actually ride to school on bikes, that is so surprising. It's so shocking because right here where I live, you cannot. You cannot because the road is so jam-packed. Everybody is driving and using the same road, so it would be insane to allow children to ride on bike all by themselves. But this is quite understandable because I believe that right here things are more orderly. I think there is a road. I believe there is a road designated for bikes alone. Okay, yeah, and then teaching them traffic rules from this very young age is quite encouraging. It is a good thing, worthy of emulation. Okay, and the system here is quite similar to ours, apart from the traffic rules that are being taught. But instead of basic 8, ours is from basic 1 up until basic 9, and before you can get to basic 1 here in Nigeria, you must have reached like 6 years. Okay, so this is quite similar. And one thing that shocked me the most is the use of bicycle by children. I just really do hope they have a designated road. If not, then I would consider it very dangerous because of the way things are right here. Nobody's gonna do that. Okay, yes.
Were to just cycle along the road, oblivious to all traffic.
I cannot imagine this. I just thought
near the end of group 7, everyone is obligated to take a cycling exam where you have to cycle a certain route through town while paying attention to all kinds of traffic boards. Once you pass the exam, you receive your long-awaited cycling diploma and immediately shrug off all rules you ever learned. High school students. Besides that, you're also obligated to take the CITO test near the end of group 8. The result of this particular test, along with your overall performance during basic school, will determine what level of secondary education you'll be following. By this point, you'll be 12 years old. So this is where things might get a bit complicated. At age 12, you'll enter voortgezet onderwijs, roughly translated continued education, which is the Dutch equivalent to American middle and high school. The thing about continued education is that there's different difficulties of high school to choose from after leaving basic school. This is where the CITO test comes into play. Depending on the advice you were given in Group 8, you have several options. VWO, which is a rough acronym for Preparing Scientific Education. This is the highest possible difficulty of continued education you can possibly follow, and will take a total of 6 years to complete. VWO prepares its students for WO, which is similar to American University and thus contains the largest amount of theory matter in terms of subjects. HAVO, a rough acronym for Higher General Continued Education. This is the second to highest possible difficulty you can follow and will take 5 years to complete. Whereas VWO often deeply delves into particular subject matter, HAVO tends to cover the more general side of things, plus VWO also tends to have stricter grading methods compared to HAVO. When attending this difficulty, you'll be prepared for something called HBO, the Dutch equivalent of American College. MAVO, roughly translated Secondary General Continued Education. MAVO will take you 4 years to complete and prepares you for MBO. In terms of difficulty, there's quite a gap between MAVO and HAVO, or at least that's what I've heard. VMBO, which is a rough acronym for Preparing Secondary Job Education, which comes in 4 different routes. Each of these routes takes 4 years to complete. These include VMBO TL, the TL standing for Theoretic Education, which actually is just a different name for MAVO. However, due to the negative connotation VMBO tends to have over here, due to it being the lowest level of secondary education, they decided to change its name to MAVO. VMBO GL, the GL standing for Mixed Education, which is pretty much equal to MAVO, except
I want to understand this. Please, if you follow this system, kindly explain to us in the comment section. I want to ask, is one expected to go through these stages one by one, like starting from the first top to down, or you can do this instead of this or that instead of this? I want to really understand it, because calculating the number of years, the other one says, let me see, the okay, VWO, I think she said you have 6 years, the other one 5 years, the other one 4 years. If you follow this step by step, stage by stage, you would find out that my God, before you finish studying, you must have gotten old. But anyways, I want to believe that you can either choose to do VWO or do HAVO or MAVO, or thereabouts. I just want to believe that. I don't want to believe that you have to do all of this one by one, stage by stage. Then it's going to take a very long time before you complete your education. Please, someone can explain to us in the comment section. It got quite confusing right here, and I needed some clarification right here.
GL adds a job-specific subject, making GL a mix between practical and theoretic subjects. VMBO KB, KB standing for Job Framework, which mainly focuses on practical subjects rather than theory-based ones. Students here learn skills by doing rather than studying. VMBO BB, BB standing for Job Basics, which is pretty similar to KB, except the amount of study load is a lot less. Both KB and BB are there to prepare students for handicraft and other sorts of craftsmanship. Practical education, students who are unable to obtain a VMBO diploma but still wish to enter the job market can be enrolled in practical education. Last but not least, there's also a route called LWOO, which acronym roughly translates to Assisted Learning Education. This route is meant for VMBO students who either struggle a lot with basic subjects like calculation, grammar, reading comprehension, etc., or have severe social emotional problems. Alright, so...
I get it now. So you don't have to be in all of this, right? You don't have to be in all of this. You can either do this or this. This is quite clear now, because I was wondering, how do you, complete all of this? And now this is where I give it to the Dutch system. You don't have to struggle to be what you cannot be. Right here, everybody struggles to to like have a formal education. By formal education, I mean you go to nursery school, go to primary school, secondary school, or by primary school, I mean the basic, okay? It was previously primary school, but now we call it the basic education, okay? So I start again. You start from nursery and then basic, um, secondary, and then university, also known as tertiary. And at the end of the day, nobody is working with their hands. We have all graduated from the university, all now in the job market. Nobody is doing upholstery. If you're doing upholstery or carpentry or masonry, they see you as lower class. Only people who cannot afford this. It's as if it is only for those who cannot afford the formal education. Do you understand? But the way this is here, the way this Dutch education system is, it is not actually for those who cannot afford. It is for, okay, I am not coping. I am not able, like, I don't want to say less brilliant, okay? Some people are not good. I am not good in calculation. I don't want to go into medicine or into any professional course. I cannot be a lawyer, but I want to use my hands. I want to be a craftsman. I want to be able to do welding. And then you see them going into these other places, into other education, like into other areas. Yeah, into other areas. My God, please pardon me. English is not my first language, okay? I am doing my best, all right? Yes. So you see them going into other areas of education. And the way this is structured, right? Nobody sees you as less. Nobody discriminates against you. Nobody sees you as less privileged. Right here in Nigeria, the moment you are a craftsman, it is already assumed, there is an automatic assumption that, oh, your parents could not afford to take you to the university, and that is why you are a welder, that is why you are a carpenter, that is why you are molding with your hands. Right. So, yeah, this is good. Again, it is worthy of emulation. I just love this, guys.
That's all of them,
Okay.
I think. There probably are some more exceptions that I glanced over, but these ones mentioned are the major ones.
I love this.
I could go into detail how each route works, but I'd rather keep this video under 2 hours, so... Anyway, once you've completed any of the previously mentioned routes, you most likely will enter a certain difficulty of college. This difficulty will of course be dependent on what difficulty you completed high school at. We'll start with MBO. As I mentioned earlier, MBO is a type of college you can attend after you've completed MAVO. MBO is categorized in 4 levels. MBO Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, and Level 4, and takes a total of 3 or 4 years to complete. With each level, the amount of independent work activity increases, meaning at level 1 you're an assistant, while at level 4 you're capable of performing specialized tasks. The minimum requirement to enter levels 2 to 4 is that you either have a VMBO or MAVO diploma. You're only capable of progressing to the next tier of college-like education if you complete MBO level 4. From here you have the option to progress to HBO or enter the job market with an MBO level 4 diploma, which is somewhat equivalent to an American associate's degree. HBO can roughly be translated to higher job education, which is the follow-up to HAVO and takes 4 years to complete. Though of course, graduated HAVO students also have the option to choose MBO if they wish so for. HBO together with WO form the university section of education in the Netherlands. The main difference between the two though is that HBO focuses more on understanding how things happen and applying acquired knowledge with more supervision, while WO is more focused on why things happen and is more research orientated with less supervision. Though in reality the amount of supervision within HBO is also pretty much non-existent.
I am lost.
Watch my college video.
Okay, I think I have to see that one before this, after this, because at this point I am lost. Okay.
Once students complete an HBO course, they'll earn an HBO bachelor degree. Afterwards, they can choose to enter the work field or continue studying for an HBO master degree. As I mentioned, WO in contrast to HBO is more focused on the research aspect of subjects. WO can be roughly translated to scientific education and is the follow-up to VWO. Though of course VWO students can also enter HBO or MBO courses. After approximately 4 years, students will be rewarded with a WO bachelor degree. Afterwards, they have the option to enter the job field or continue studying for a master's degree, which the majority, as far to my knowledge, tends to do. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the Dutch education system. There's quite a lot of details regarding grading and law-related stuff I left out, but these are pretty much the basic explanations of each department.
Thank you. Thank you very much for finding out time to explain this, even though I got I got a little bit confused towards the end, but I later picked up, towards the very end. Right, yeah. It is quite different from what we have here, and this is much better from experience. Now, this is not me condemning what we have. This is better. This is better because nobody is forced to do what he or she cannot do. It's either you are here or you are there. But here, everybody is going to the university. Everybody wants to be a doctor, an engineer, and then leaving the other parts to suffer. Recently, there was a construction going on around my area, and it was difficult to get bricklayers. Very difficult, because the moment you say you're a bricklayer, the society assumes that you are poor and that you're from a very poor background and that your parents cannot take you to university. But here it is not so. You can either begin so early with being a craftsman or being a professional, a doctor, an engineer, and what have you. So there is a balance. And the fact that you are a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer does not mean that you will be seen as more important than the other person who is working with his hand, like a craftsman, right? Yeah, that is what I understood basically from this, and I love it. It is good, and I wish other people can adopt this. It's good. Like, everything is divided. There is diversification, there is separation, there is division of labor. We all don't have to be here. Different people can do different things. That is just the summary of this. Yeah. I hope I haven't talked too much. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Kindly subscribe to my channel. If there is more explanation to this, something that you actually want us to know about this, please do well to leave it in the comment section. I would love to read and have an in-depth knowledge of this system so that we can see how we can incorporate some of these systems, systems into our own. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you all in another one. Bye.